mean, you know the true in and out through track heads out there. They say, oh, you should have got a manual. Why you've got a DSG? Or
do you know what? A lot of the guys, the true track boys, will say, yeah, you know what? You need a manual. And most of them who have said that to me, and if we've been on track, I tell them, come out with me. I'll show you the difference with the DSG. And the minute I show them, all right, well, you know what? This is the difference with the TVS tune.
yeah.
Instantly they go, ah, okay.
Welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming down. Today we've got a very special one because this is a Mk5 Gti. It's actually built for track, so there's a lot of goodies on it, a lot of things to talk about. As you can see in the engine, this is the same as the coupe we done recently, but this one's got a few different twists on it. Could you explain what's going on?
Alright, so it's the AXX motor that you normally get on the early versions.
Yeah. But
all of the weak points of the AXX engine has been removed.
Okay.
So starting off with the top end, so it's got the camshaft of a BWA motor. The bottom end has had the Viz freewheel put in as well.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it allows it to rev up properly, so the balance shaft is deleted. And then there's a few tweaks along the way as well. So I've removed the stock crankshaft dampening system.
All right.
And gone for a CTS Lightning crankshaft pulley. It looks like a KO4, but it isn't. It's a KO3.
Oh,
it's running KO4 pipework, mainly because it means I can change the diverter valve really quickly on track. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a quick split change that can happen. Over and above that on the engine, I've also got a PCV delete, but not your standard expectation. It's a forged catch can setup.
Yeah.
But I'm also running a Revision B breather valve, which has a check valve built into it.
That's the one down here, right?
Yeah, that's the breather valve down there, and the check valve's built into the little alloy pipe going down to the bottom. Okay. So that valve itself prevents the car from smoking on idle, which is typically what you have with the catch can setup. So it's got a valve in it which actually just opens up under boost.
Yeah.
So when you give it a bit of beans, it clears the PCV system as well, any blowback that you get.
Okay, that valve is actually an OEM part. The Americans or the guys across the pond, that's what they run on their cars.
Yeah.
Is it something you can buy from the likes of TPS?
Actually, Coverdale has now stocked it. So if you actually look at the Coverdale site, the picture's directly off this car.
So also on this car, we've got, this is DSG, sorry, by the way, guys. Yes. It's a DSG. It's been mapped by
Tuning Techniques, so Chris over to Tuning Techniques.
Okay, and what power is it running? So
it's around sort of 280, 290-ish bhp. So it's not the highest power, but it's quite decent for a stock KO3 at the moment. And she's on stage 2+, so she's got all of the 2+ hardware to support the mods. Okay. She will get bigger. She will get a bigger turbo. Well, not a bigger turbo. She will get a better turbo at some point. The plan is to go hybrid because I need acceleration versus top end. Okay. So yeah, that's I'd say in the future, not too far of future. Okay,
and the DSG box is also matched by Turbo Technics.
Correct.
That's running a stage 2 TVS.
Stage 3.
Stage 3. Sorry.
So it's running a stage 3 TVS tune on the DSG, which gives you something called True Manual.
Okay.
So biggest benefit, forget the D, forget the S. It's actually on the paddle shifts where you actually get engine braking when you down change.
Okay. And
that's a massive benefit on track. Sticking with the DSG, some of the typical challenges you get is the cooling on DSG. The DSG oil gets really hot. And if anyone's ever seen it, you get the error coming up on the dash. So to keep the DSG cooling as well, so I've got a upgraded Bartec DSG cooler.
Yeah, hopefully we can catch it on the camera.
Down there. Yeah. So it's sort of an OE plus upgrade. It looks exactly the same as the OE, except it's larger, so taller. So you get better cooling on that. And it's also got a billet oil filter housing on the DSG as well as actually on the engine as well. Okay. And that's the biggest challenge at the moment, cooling. Trying to keep the engine and gearbox as cool as possible is the biggest challenge on track. That's typically where I'm aiming to get the car going now. Other mods on the engine, obviously you can see the Revo intake, the Revo oversized intake. One of my favorites between that and the ITG personally prefer the Revo. It's also got an Autotech high pressure fuel pump, so it's upgraded internals.
Yep,
upgraded internals on the pump.
Yeah.
The other
intercooler.
Oh yes, intercooler. So there's a complete setup from the intercooler. So I'm running a complete CTS charge pipe setup from the turbo down. So from the hot side of the turbo down. It comes into a Toyo Motorsport front mount intercooler. Yeah.
Hopefully we can see. Oh yes, we can
see that up front. Goes all the way back up, comes up through into a CTS pipe as well. Yeah. Right. So basically, removing some of the standard, be it big, small, you get in the OE. It's basically one thickness all the way through, and it comes into one of the not so normal mods, which is the 76mm Audi SQ5 throttle body. So this is fairly a bolt-on mod, but it just means that I actually get more air coming into the engine. So
okay. So was there anything wrong with the original throttle body, or there wasn't anything? The reason that you wanted to change it?
It's purely physics. Just looking at the way the air was flowing through the system, I wanted to remove any choke points that you get on air coming through the system. Okay. So most of the pipe work, so coming out from the turbo is like 53 mils, and it goes into 63 mils, and the turbo pipes, they call them pancake pipes. So you see they sort of go thick, thin, and I worked my way through that. And when it came to the throttle body, and this is maybe showing my age a bit, but you typically play around with things like carburetors, so bigger carburetors, get more air into the engine. And I thought, well, considering that I want to go bigger power on that at some point, right? Yeah. The more air I can get in, the better. Yeah. And did a bit of research, and the SQ5 it's more or less a bolt-on mod. There's a few tweaks that you need to do to get it on, but it's not the hardest mod to put in. But that itself just removes the choke point of the engine. Okay. And interestingly enough, it bolts up directly to the standard intake. So the intake itself there's literally two knobs you need to remove. But other than that, it literally just fits directly onto the intake. So it removes any of the choke points coming in. So if you think about it, all of the boost coming off the turbo, going through the intercooler, being cooled down, is then being shoved into the engine. So instead of going through a smaller throttle body, right, it's actually now going through a bigger throttle body.
Okay. I mean, talking about choke points, are you running a decat exhaust? Yeah. What system are we running?
So I've got a 3-inch Miltech decat downpipe into a non-resonated 3-inch Cobra catback. Okay. So cool. full setup on the exhaust system. I'm actually quite happy with it. I considered going down to a 3.5-inch downpipe, but not for the KO3. It's a bit too big much for the KO3s. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, if we move over to the side of the car, we've got R32 calipers.
Oh, the suspension.
Indeed.
So, suspension-wise, all right. If you start with brakes, so you've got R32 calipers. It's also got a upgraded Tyrrell stiffening kit on the calipers themselves. Okay. It's running EBC pads at the moment. So at the moment, I've got yellow stuff pads, but I prefer to run the RPXs on track.
Okay, and RPX is a track
orientated. It doesn't give you optimal braking when it's cold. Yeah. But once they get up to temp, they literally stop on the turn. So they're extremely aggressive pads.
Okay, and are you running the same pads on the rear?
Nope. Well, at the moment it's running yellow stuff on the rear. Okay. But EBC's changed their compound a little bit, so the plan is to actually change the rears and start using EBC blues on the back. Discs wise, they also EBC dimpled and grooved. I don't do drill because they crack. Yep. So avoid them as much as I can. But yeah, I mean.
What about the brake lines?
The brake lines are Hell braided. Yes, there we go. You caught me out on that. Indeed. So they Hell braided brake lines, and brake fluid. Interestingly enough, I haven't done the whole RBF, gone down the route of RBF. I've literally changed the brake fluid on the car, sort of every 3-4 track days. Okay. The brake fluid I run is actually a Renault. You know, maybe beep that out, but it's the the Renault .4 Plus brake fluid. Not let me down. It works really well. It's got a high boiling point, so I mean, on track with this new setup, I don't get much brake fade. My tires actually go off before the brakes, so.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So the suspension. Yeah. What suspension are we running, sir?
Okay, so suspension-wise, so I actually had a bit of a cheat sheet. my plan was to build a car for a series called Production GTI, which is a full-blown race series.
Okay,
That's where the plan came from.
But you need the license, right, for that?
Correct.
Specifically
Full
for the
race
track.
license, track license. It's a full-blown FIA sanctioned race series.
Yeah.
So that was the aim. Yeah. And I started building my suspension based on their regulations. So the complete front and rear suspension has been completely revamped. I mean, if you talk about the front, steering rack is a Gen 3 rack, which is off a Mark 6. The suspension I'm running Super Pro anti-roll bars, Super Pro adjustable anti-roll bars. All of the bushes are Powerflex bushes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Powerflex.
Is that the Black Series?
Black
purple?
Series.
Okay, black one.
Black Series, as hard as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So they're absolutely rock solid. It's got the Black Series anti-lift kit, also the Black Series caster
control arms.
Caster setup on the front bushes of the control arms, and it's got the S3 alloy control arms as well. White line adjustable drop links. It's actually running OE wheel bearings and rod ends, but they fit the purpose. Biggest challenge actually was finding the correct drive shafts. I've actually broken a few of them already, so this is actually a drive shaft which has been replaced in the last week and a half, so fingers crossed this one works.
Indeed. Also, you're running starter nut conversion?
Correct, yes. It's a midnight racing starter nut conversion. The tyres come off and on this car a lot. These are not the wheels that are on track.
Yeah.
So these are the run-around wheels, except in the wet. I mean, I prefer the PS4s in the wet. But on track, I use the Team Dynamic 1-2s, and depending on which set, but I use either the 8008s or the Toyo R888Rs. So
okay, cool.
Prefer the R888Rs. They have a lot more grip. But the 8008s are absolutely brilliant semi-slicks. Still on bushing and mounts, engine-wise as well. I've also got the mounts changed. So I'm running the Direnza engine and transmission mounts, which are absolutely rock solid.
Yeah.
With a Revo dogbone mount, as well as a Powerflex Black Series insert on the subframe.
Okay, cool. So the goodie list is never ending, eh?
Yeah, I mean, suspension-wise, there's not a lot more to do. I mean, she's also running the Super Pro roll center adjustable ball joints as well. She's got a set of camber plates. You might actually be able to see them if you. She's actually running camber plates in there as well for camber adjustment.
Yeah.
So at the front, she's running about 3.5 degrees camber, and at the rear, she's running about 2.5 degrees with a caster setup as well to give me a bit more straight line and a bit more control down the straights. And obviously the suspension, which I haven't spoken about, the shock setup.
Yeah.
So I'm running a Gaz Pro Gold coilover setup with race grade springs. So the spring rates are absolutely solid to the point where when the chap was doing my alignment, he basically said that you don't even need anti-roll bars because your springs are hard enough.
All right, cool.
Yeah, but I still run the anti-roll bars. At the moment, the anti-roll bars are hard in the front. Soft in the front and soft in the rear because they're literally just there for looks, if I'm honest.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Who actually done the setup for you?
Emlyn from Precision. Yeah. He did my entire setup for me. So basically, ride height, dampening, alignment, basically all race setup on the car, and also weight balancing as well. So alignment wise, she's now sort of pinned straight and runs absolutely.
I mean, if we look at the front, from the front of the car on the side angle, you can actually see the front's being cambered. I mean, we're going to go out in a minute and we're going to see how it actually performs on the road. But guys, bear in mind this is actually set up for track, so it's not a road car per se. And yeah, this car will be getting trailered to tracks, and we will at some point do a feature on the track to actually see the difference. So guys, if we look inside, we've got bucket seat heaven. What bucket seats are these?
So these are the Core Blue DFX bucket seats with TRS 4-point harnesses. And what they hold you nice and solid in. Also, they harnessed up into the original seatbelt location at the back, so once safety is the utmost. And also on the hard braking, you don't move. It literally keeps you planted in that seat.
Okay, and these ones actually run on the standard rails?
Correct. So OEM runners, which means I get the forward and rear adjustment on it.
Yeah.
No height adjustment, so the height's sort of aligned to me at the moment. got the extinguisher set up, which I literally just put it. It's the same company who's supplied the cage, SW Motorsports.
Okay.
Have also supplied the extinguisher system as well. So that's the latest mod. Literally just went in yesterday.
Okay, cool. Let's go to the back of the car quickly, because we've got the uni brace.
Yeah. So I've got a uni brace XBO setup. That was one of my actual earlier mods in the car. As I started removing the back seats, you find that the back end starts to twist a lot, and I wanted to stabilize that, so putting the uni brace actually gave me a bit more stability, so less twisting on the back end.
Yeah.
And then that followed up, and the cage still gives me a lot more stability, but more stability on the center of the car, and it's a bit more on safety.
Yeah.
But I'm keeping the brace in because it still gives me a lot more rear end stability.
Okay, cool.
I think for now it'll stay in up until she gets a full cage. So yeah, I mean, rear seats have been deleted. The seatbelts all deleted, even though it's still road legal because it's got a proper harness into seatbelt positions. But yeah, it's on its way to be full-blown track.
Last thing before we head out, the big wing.
Oh, I gotta say, not my favorite upgrade because I don't like the look of it, but it is functional. At the moment, so depending on track and setup, I run anywhere between sort of 5 degrees and 6 degrees of wing, which gives me an addition of anywhere between about 55 to about 65 kgs of downforce on the straights. That's above sort of 70 miles per hour. So that's a fair amount of weight. The biggest issue on these cars is weight at the rear.
Yeah.
So that's a fair amount of weight. It's actually stopped the car from wagging its tail coming down the straights, and it gives me a lot more stability under hard braking. So yeah, not the best looking, but
I remember, sorry, earlier on you mentioned about the alignment.
Yeah.
Is this corner weighted?
Yeah,
okay, cool. So guys, this car is fully built for the track.
She's about 10 kilograms over at the front at the moment, and I was okay with that because I've still got a bit more work to do. So the battery relocation, so the battery's going to come across into the boot as well, and that's a fair chunk of weight off the front.
Yeah.
I'm also putting in a WMI kit as well to support the bigger turbo that's going to go in, but it is going to bring some weight into the rear of the car, and you'll see the rear end is light because she's more or less gutted at the back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do need to bring some weight across in the back just to get a bit more stable, but yeah, the suspension setup now means that, I mean, if I corner really hard, I can actually cork it up on 3 wheels. Yeah, quite comfortably.
I don't think we'll find out that today, boy.
No, on track.
We'll get around to that. Alright guys, let's wrap it up for this section and let's head out. Okay guys, we're out and about in the Mk5 Golf GTI. First things first, with all the mods you've done, is there anything that you would do again?
Oh, good question. If I'm honest, brakes might be one of the first things. I might actually consider going big on the brakes.
Okay.
But let's see how the R32 pans out for now. I mean, I know bigger brakes will get me more stopping power.
Yeah.
But it's trial and error, if I'm honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one. I think on the other side of things, I might have considered going for maybe slightly softer springs.
Okay.
The race grade springs are absolutely vicious. I mean,
yeah,
you can hear her in when you the slightest bump and you can hear that.
Definitely a solid car.
Yeah, she's absolutely rock solid. Don't get me wrong, absolutely brilliant when it comes to cornering on track.
Yeah.
But road surface, even the slightest bump. Yeah, I mean,
you definitely feel it.
You feel every single bit of it. Yeah.
Considering this is a track car, one of the things I would like to know is, why have you gone for a DSG over a manual?
Extra question. So I started building my first build was actually a manual. I've always preferred manual on track.
Okay.
And I didn't like the DSG because you don't get engine braking off a DSG.
Yes.
But the minute I put on the TVS tune, the Stage 3 tune,
yeah, and
it enabled what's called true manual, and true manual mode literally brought the car to life.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've now got full control of the gears, basically up and down.
Yeah.
It's basically at my call how I want to actually change up, how I want to change down. And especially on track, when you're going to the hard braking zones, the manual car, you can basically drop the clutch and the engine gives you sort of extra engine braking.
Yeah.
I can now do that with the DSG comfortably.
Okay, so you're not missing out on that then, basically.
What I also get is benefits of faster shift.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
It's literally like having a sequential box. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sequential box, really fast shifting. Yeah. Without having to worry about putting your clutch in, taking your clutch off.
So what's your least favourite track?
Got to be Blyton Park.
Okay.
Yeah, the Blyton Park track is quite similar to this road.
Oh wow, so not the best track then, surface-wise as well.
It's bouncy. It's not a flat surface, so yeah, car does bounce around quite a bit, even in the braking zones. Considering we have ABS, you actually see me locking up in the braking zones if I'm braking really hard. Okay. So that's not optimal, and it absolutely destroys tires. So yeah, I went through quite a few. Well, I literally damaged a nice set of tires down at Blyton.
Oh wow, so not one you'll be going anytime soon?
Nah, not really. Yeah. Okay,
cool. What's the next mod on the list?
The next mod is a hybrid turbo.
Hybrid, okay.
Well, geez, the list is massive. The next, should I say, major mod is the hybrid turbo. Okay. And with that, along with that, there's going to be the S3 injectors and so forth. Yeah. But immediate mod, which I'd say is the simpler mods, is the battery relocation to the rear and the WMI kit. Okay, with the relocation of the battery, that's all the parts come off a R32, a Mk5 R32, yeah? So I've actually done a hybrid. So I've taken parts off a Mk5 R32, a TTRS, and an S3 8V. The main reason is I wanted to have what's called an igniter. Yeah. And the igniters come on the 8V, so that if there's ever an impact, the battery automatically will disconnect. Okay. So that's off the 8V. The battery connection of the R32 has a connection which goes directly from the harness to the starter. Yeah. Whereas the battery connection of the TTRS has a secondary of a charge point. So the plan is to actually install the charge point and the secondary harness to the starter motor and the main fuse box. So that's off the TTRS. With the rest of the harness from a R32. So what TTRS is that? The third gen or the second gen? It's the second gen. Okay. Yeah. The ultimate mod, I'd say, is when the engine does go, because it's a track car, the engine's not going to last forever. Yeah. It'll be to forge the bottom end and then start pushing the power a bit higher. I'm not targeting a power build. My aim is not to try and chase BHP. Yeah. My aim is to try and get acceleration, as hard acceleration as possible. Okay. So the quicker I can accelerate, track is all about acceleration, brake, acceleration, brake. Yeah. So the best acceleration I get out of it is what I'm after and handling. Yeah. I'll also have a TTE 370, which is not the normal turbo we put onto a TFSI. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that then. So I picked it up. And it was thought to be actually a KO4064. Yeah. But I shipped it off to Midlands. Midlands Turbo, okay. Yeah, Midlands Turbo do all my turbo work. And so I shipped it off to them. And they started taking it apart and they were like, hold on, this is not an 064 turbo. And as they started taking it apart, they found out that it's actually a TTE 370 turbo, which you typically find on a Audi A4. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah. But it's obviously had some additional mods. So it had an upgraded core, upgraded anti-surge core. Yeah. They modified the hot side of the turbo to fit into a TFSI engine. Okay. So it had a fair amount of mods, but it needed a bit of work to be done. So that turbo is actually still with Midlands Turbo at the moment, getting rebuilt. Yeah. So they actually converting the hot side of that turbo to an actual KO464 housing. Yeah. The turbo itself came off the car when it had problems, right? It actually came off a car which was clocking out around 420 brake. Yeah. And now that I'm doing some additional mods to it, I'd expect that turbo to pull a lot harder, so I think I can get a hell of a lot more power out of it with the upgraded actuator as well that I'm putting onto it as well. Okay. So yeah, that I'm going to save for when I do forge the engine. The AXX, anything over sort of 360 brake, the bottom end's not going to take it. Yeah. So I'll limit this car. Even if I have the ability to, I'll keep this car to 360 brake. Maybe push it a little bit higher if the WMI can keep the cooling down.
Yeah.
But yeah, 360 is the ultimate for me on this one.
So guys, this is in D.
Yeah, go for it.
Messing about from you, eh? The thing is that one of the main things about our tech map is that it just pulls and pulls. This is quite similarly done, where there's no let off. It keeps on pulling.
Keeps going.
Keeps going, yeah. And I think that's what you want from a map. A lot of the other maps from generic tuners, they got a lot of early down torque,
early boost, and then it just starts tapering off.
Yeah.
What I like about the setup is that I get the acceleration, so she keeps pulling.
Yeah.
And she's still giving me good boost all the way through the RPM. Now, because I had it in D, she keeps revving.
Yeah.
The catch is this car starts getting out of its power band around sort of 5,600-ish.
Okay.
So when we're on the paddle shift, you'll see it. It'll be quicker changes. Yeah. But it's staying in the power band. Yeah?
Okay.
And that's why I say the paddle shift is best. Full control of it, and she just absolutely loves it.
All right, guys, we're gonna pull it in sports mode.
Yeah.
Definitely working, eh?
You can feel that.
Bloody hell. It definitely helps you to brake later as well.
Yeah. And on the brake, you can feel there's a lot more stability. So you can go really hard on the brake, and the back end just doesn't want to feel like she's kicking out.
Funny enough, when we was talking about earlier off camera about the wing, I was thinking, does it really do anything? Yes, it does.
And you can feel, from a driving perspective, I can feel the back end a lot more planted.
Yeah.
So when you're coming up, on bends, right? It's like corner, but I don't have to let off on the corner. I know that my back end is absolutely planted. I can feel it there.
No, you can definitely feel it working. Definitely feel it working. Not sure I would have one, but
it is Marmite. I don't like the look of it, but it's functional.
Indeed,
it does the job.
This is an all-out track car. Yeah. It doesn't really see the public roads too much, so yeah, it's definitely fit for purpose.
Yep.
So guys, we're going in manual mode. Paddle shift duties today. The way you can brake so late because of the wing. Really makes a massive difference.
You feel that back end just punching down.
Indeed. Okay guys, you know what? I've had a brilliant day today. It's been so hot as well. So, is there anyone you would like to plug?
Yeah, shout out to Danny Cox, R&D Tuning, Chris, Tuning Techniques, Danny Hill from Mk5, and my Insta.
Indeed. Okay guys, I'm going to leave everything down below in the description. Make sure you like, comment, share and subscribe. It's your boy Wavy, and until next time, I'm out.